Hello, hello. There we go. That's working now. What's up, everybody that's waiting? How's it going? So happy to see you guys. Holy shit, let's do this. Awesome. So we are waiting on Aaron. He said he's going to be commenting, joining the chat in a second, and then we will be good to go. So just give me a moment. I'm going to check on everything. It's great to see y'all, those of you in the chat right now. All right. And it seems like our volume's good to go, so that's awesome. We'll make sure also that Aaron's volume is good to go and all of that stuff. So there's also no echoing happening, I believe, which is also a good thing. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to see the chat, which is all right, because what we'll probably do, for those of you in the chat, if you have something to say, we'll probably stop at some point and read a little bit of the chat, and then get your input, get input from other people, and maybe address a few of the questions that you all have for us, and we'll be good to go. So let's figure it out. Aaron, what's going on?
What's up? Did you hear any of that?
No, I just caught you now. Hold on, let me just do one thing real quick.
Okay.
Now that Aaron just joined, is there any echo going on?
Any echo? Echo?
No, don't you're just doing that. No, don't. Okay, so it seems I think so far we are good. I just want to make sure. So first things first, I just want to say thank you so much, Crispin. I have a new webcam and a new microphone because of him, and he just sent that to me out of nowhere, and that's really, really amazing of him. And if you're watching the video, just know that I love you, brother. And basically to everybody, I love you all for being here, including you, Aaron. I'm so glad you're here, man. Let's freaking do this.
I don't have new anything.
Hey, it's not about always having the new stuff.
I'm using my phone, which has a fucked up camera.
Yeah, so I was wondering, Aaron, if you could do something, I think that would be helpful for everybody. If you could maybe prop your phone up somewhere and you could just keep it in one spot, would that be something that you think you could do? After you have a smoke, feel free to go for whatever you got to do.
Yeah. I can try to, yeah.
Cool. And one thing too, I mean, I don't know if you like showing the bottom of your the bottom of your chin, but that was something I got from a lot of people last time. They said that all they could see was your chin, which is pretty funny. But
the thing about that was I had to charge my phone on a charging pad that lays flat.
Dude, that's so funny. I have one of those too, so I definitely relate to the struggle. Like I tried to charge it in my car, and as soon as I like drive anywhere, it slides right off. So
yeah, I put Velcro on mine. Like awesome. A little piece of Velcro on the back of my phone and a little piece of Velcro on the charging pad. Still awesome. Charging.
That is so great, and we're gravy right now, man. We're good to go.
Yeah, my phone's charged. It's at 40% right now, so we could probably talk for at least a half an hour to 45 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get right to the point. Sweet. So to those of you that weren't there last time, basically what happened was we had a little bit of technical issues. Not a big deal at all. We're here for round two. Thank you for checking in. Where we kind of ended off last time was kind of my side of the argument, and we never really got to Aaron's side of the argument. So just to clarify for everybody, I'll say what my side of the argument is. For those of you that weren't able to be there for the last time. So basically the argument that I'm making is living a vegan lifestyle is better for everyone on the planet for a multitude of reasons. And simply it comes down to the fact that animals have sentience. So they have the ability to suffer and feel pain. And if we don't have to pay for their suffering and pain, then why would we? And that's the question I was asking Aaron is what would be his justification for paying somebody to kill animals for him if it's unnecessary?
They taste good.
Okay, so let's jump right into it. So let's the thing is with debates that I think is really important, and I want to establish with everybody here, including Aaron, is it's important to go into hypotheticals because hypotheticals talk about the core issue in which we're talking about here. So the core issue in what we're talking about, in the way that I see it, and I'm going to clarify with Aaron, see what he thinks, is that the core issue is killing a sentient being for an unnecessary reason. Do you think that that's a valid statement to make, Aaron?
I don't think it's unnecessary.
Well, do you think that we have? Let's identify the word unnecessary. What would unnecessary mean to you?
Unnecessary would be like It's redundant. It's not needed.
Great. So last time we talked, I brought up the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the largest body of nutritionists and dietitians in the world. And they've stated unequivocally that a vegan lifestyle is completely sustainable for all stages of life, including infancy, pregnancy, adulthood, and weight gain for athletes. So if the largest body of nutritionists and dietitians in the world are telling us that we don't technically have to eat animals, then therefore it's unnecessary. Would you agree?
For some people, everybody's different. Some people.
I lost you.
So, you got me?
Yeah, I got you now. Go ahead.
Some people can't really survive on a vegan diet.
Interesting. And what would be
They would be like, I know some people that are vegan. I don't know what they're doing, but they're really, 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 really skinny, and they're really, really, really weak.
Okay, so interesting. So I would like to address that because we've kind of gone from a few different things, but let's address specifically the health aspect of it here. So we could just say plainly stating that, yeah, there might be some unhealthy vegans. Yeah, for sure. But there's a bunch of unhealthy meat eaters as well. I mean, we're reaching a point where the majority of United States citizens are technically obese. So using that same argument, then I could say that eating meat is unhealthy and we shouldn't do it too. So it's kind of redundant to make that argument. Yeah, yes or no?
No.
No. Well, you you understand what I'm saying, right? Is like you're making the argument that there are some vegans that are unhealthy. That therefore means that veganism is flawed. And I'm making the same argument that there are.
I mean, it's good. Some people, it works for some people. It doesn't work for some people.
And now, what would be the main reason? Like, what would be the key nutrient that a vegan lifestyle lacked that a carnivorous diet or a omnivorous diet gave you? What would be the key nutrient?
I don't know if there's one specific nutrient that I could place on that.
So I'll tell you. So it's the only thing that we really technically need that we can't get just from eating vegetables is B12. But B12 is a bacteria that comes from the soil. So what happens is they just give a supplement to the animal, or what happens is when the animal's eating grass, which the majority of cows, pigs, and chickens aren't eating fresh grass, they get the dirt and they eat the dirt at the same time. So we could get B12 if we just didn't wash our vegetables, because what happens is we have this thing called chlorine, which kills bacteria, and B12 is just a bacteria.
There's also pesticides on your vegetables and stuff.
I definitely agree the idea that there are pesticides on the plants that I consume. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. If I could just finish real quick. So what I was saying is you can't, like, there's not a key nutrient that is in animal products that comes from animal products that we need to eat to survive. So say somebody has a ridiculous, not ridiculous, I don't mean to say that, a very rare disease where maybe they have to consume animals to survive. That's a survival argument, and that is one thing that I will always give as a vegan. If somebody has to do something to survive, to protect their own life, I feel that they have a much more moral argument than somebody that's just doing it because they like the taste of it. So that I would like to transition into that. Is you said that the main argument that you would have is that they taste good. So do you think, what if I were to open up if I started rescuing dogs from Dakin Animal Shelter and I opened up a dog slaughterhouse, and my justification for it was because I like the taste. Would that be something that you'd be okay with, or?
Some cultures do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I know that some cultures do. But the thing is, I like to do with this, if it's cool with you, is I just like to talk about like what your moral opinion on the situation is. Like, do you think it's okay to stab dogs to death when they're a very shortened age? So if we did the same comparison, pigs are killed at like 8 months old. So we're killing 8-month-old golden retrievers and slicing their throat open in the same method, or we put them in gas chambers like we do with pigs. Is that something you'd be like, yeah, go for it? Or would you be like, I don't know. What's your opinion?
I feel like Americans have a different relationship with dogs than they do chickens, cows, and pigs.
That's a good point. I wouldn't argue that at all. I think that we do have a different relationship with them. But would you say that cows, pigs, and chickens have the same ability to suffer, feel pain, and love that dogs do?
Maybe in a different way, but I mean, I feel like there's definitely quick ways to do it. They don't have to be slow, painful deaths. They can be quick and almost instantaneous. Like,
Interesting. So you're mentioning the idea of like humane slaughter. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool. So I would ask you what your definition of the word humane is.
Humane would be cause as little pain as possible.
Interesting. So the standard definition for humane means to be compassionate or benevolent. So I'd ask you the question, can you compassionately, benevolently, or humanely stab a dog to death if you don't have to?
Sometimes you have to.
When they're suffering, and this is the second part. The only two that I will really, really give to meat eaters is the idea of survival, if you have to do it, just like killing a human, right? If a human attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. I really, truly believe that. And the second one is the idea of if you're helping someone out of their suffering. And this even applies to human beings, because if somebody's suffering immensely and they beg with me and plead with me to pull the plug for them, I have a hard time saying that I wouldn't be able to do that. Like I wouldn't do that for them, because yes, I want them to live and I want them to be happy. But if they're suffering like that ridiculously, just like a dog, like don't get me wrong, like I've had to put down two of my past two dogs, and it was the hardest thing that I can ever imagine. And the idea of maybe potentially having to put down my current dog, like it's mortifying. So I think there's a big difference between helping somebody out of their suffering versus the idea of stabbing someone unnecessarily for taste pleasure. Would you agree?
Well, that would be cannibalism.
Well, no. I'm talking about what we eat. As you said, it's for taste pleasure. Like we eat animals for taste pleasure is the argument that you're making.
Well, it's taste, and also it's kind of less expensive to eat meat because it fills you up more. You have to eat more fruits and vegetables to feel full, like a significant amount more.
Interesting. So it seems like sorry, go ahead, please.
And then also just the price of, like, I could get a pound of meat for like $5.
Interesting.
Like beef.
I definitely hear what you're saying, that meat can be very, very cheap, and I'm not here to argue that. But what I will say is this:
I could spend like $20 to $30 on one meal for like a vegan meal.
I definitely would disagree that. Let's go into this, right? Okay, so you've made 2 points, right? Taste, pleasure, and convenience, right? So financial gain. So let's go into both of these, and please just if you don't mind, I'll just say both of them. Or if you want, we can address one and I can get your opinion of it, and then we can address the other one. Which one would you prefer to do?
Up to you.
Cool. So let's do one, and then we can converse about it and specifically just talk about that topic and not go to another topic, and talk about the second one after that. And you can tell me if you agree or disagree. Let's do food first, like cost. So let's think about the cheapest things in the supermarket: pasta, grains, beans, rice, fruits and vegetables. They're all the cheapest things in the supermarket. And when we're talking about longevity of life, the things that don't possess any cholesterol, which is the number one killer of people, is heart disease, and it's been linked to cholesterol. So the longevity of your life too. It also you have to spend less money at the hospital. Is the idea also the point that I'm trying to make is eventually down the road. I don't have any proof for this, but I believe that if you're living healthier, then you'll have less expenses in your Medicare bills. But even if we're just talking about right now, let's just talk about right now. So me personally, I eat a ridiculous amount of food, man. Like I cannot tell you, like, and because I love food. I've always loved food. I overindulge like you wouldn't believe. But it's kind of ironic because I'm in the best shape of my life, which is kind of contradictory what most people would think. But so let's talk about like financial, like how much a dinner for me would cost if I made it at home. So let's take like a cup of rice, 2 cups of rice, and like a cup of beans, some tortillas, lettuce, tomato, onion, a little bit of flax seeds for the omegas, and maybe a side of broccoli. That's like a $4 or $5 meal. Like not even, like that's so cheap. And also I feel, this is just my personal anecdote thing, I feel so good. So why would I spend the same amount of money to feel lethargic and tired from animal products, which again, anecdotal, this is just how I felt looking back. Like I was always just like tired after I was so full, and I was just like, I only had one sandwich, but man, I'm just like, whoa. And don't get me wrong, dude, I was all about meat eating when I was younger. Like I hunted, I fished, I did all that stuff. So like I'm from the same cut of crop as you, my guy. But what I will say is like, when I look back now, before I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to be full. You just feel tired. You want to sit down. You don't want to do anything. I get full now, man. I have like 5 plates of food, 4 plates of food. Ask anybody in my family, like 3, 4, 5 plates of food. And I'll get up and we'll go for a walk after, or sometimes we chill, don't get me wrong, but like I don't feel heavy. So if we're just talking about the cost thing, sorry, I went on a tangent here, but if we're just talking about the cost, you can easily finance a vegan diet at a super affordable rate. But I would also ask you the question is, what do you value more? Spending an extra, let's say $2 on a meal, or killing an animal unnecessarily?
I don't know if it's unnecessary though.
But as we've stated, the largest body of nutritionists and dietitians in the world have unequivocally stated through peer-reviewed studies that a vegan lifestyle is completely sustainable. So we don't have to, and also the argument that you're making is, I don't think that you can be healthy on a vegan diet, but you're not providing any like key nutrients that would be lacking. So like, it's hard for me to counter you because you're just saying like, oh, you just can't do it. I just don't think that you can. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they say that green energy is completely sustainable too, but we're not doing that.
Okay, so one thing I will give you, we're going to get a little off tangent here, but I will totally go down this rabbit hole for a second. I think that there's a lot of problems with media and marketing. I think there's a lot of people high up that are making a lot of choices that have serious effect on us. Teaching us things as kids like Got Milk with Olympic athletes on it. McDonald's has Olympic athletes, all of these things. This is ridiculous. Like, so the argument that you're making here is like, there's false information out there. And yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. But what I'm talking about is peer-reviewed scientists that have read over literature over and over and over again, many people, and read it and go, yes, this is true. You can get everything. Check. So like, it's kind of going against scientific consensus. And that's, in my opinion, kind of doesn't make sense to go against scientific consensus, because that's saying that the theory of evolution isn't real, saying laws of gravity aren't real. These are all things that scientists believe. It's climate change is real, you know, like it's just scientific consensus. So when you say that you can't be healthy and be vegan, you're going against science. And I don't know, I just want to see what your opinion of that, like what
I think you can be healthy and be vegan. I'm not saying that being vegan isn't completely sustainable.
Okay, sweet. So hold on. So you just said right now, you said that yes, you could, Aaron, and the majority of people could be vegan.
Yeah, when it comes down to it.
Great, cool. So we've established that. So now we've established that it's unnecessary to stab animals to death for sustenance, right? So
some of them aren't stabbed. There's some places that just shoot them in the head once and they die instantly with no pain.
So that's interesting. I would like to jump in here. So I've been outside of a slaughterhouse in Massachusetts that uses captive bolt pistol, and I talked to the kill floor manager, the operations manager, whatever you want to call him, and they use the humane standard of killing pigs, sheep, cows, and other animals, and they use this thing called a captive bolt pistol. And that's what you're talking about. And what the captive bolt pistol is it's pressurized air, and it's a rod that's shot into their head. And what a lot of people think is that the captive bolt pistol is the thing that kills the animal. It's totally not true. The captive bolt pistol was designed simply to stun the animal. What would your definition of stun be?
I feel like one time I jumped into the Connecticut River in the middle of winter, and I was stunned. It's kind of like shock.
Interesting. So like, let's talk about like a police stun gun. Does it render the person, does it kill the person, or does it render them unconscious or immobile?
Immobile, but I've never been shot by a taser.
Exactly. So if it's a stun gun, a captive bolt pistol, it's a stun gun, then that is right there just telling you that it is not killing the animal. So what happens is they stun gun the animal in the head to render them unconscious so that killing them is much easier. And the idea is if the animal is unconscious, it's okay to kill them and they feel much less pain. And I would agree with you that killing them in that way is slightly more moral because you're not hurting the animal as much. But the problem is the gun doesn't work. And I've talked to the guy at Atkins Farm, and he literally says, yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work sometimes. And in humane standards for USDA practices, they cannot do it twice to an animal or they will get cited. Atkins Farm in Athol, Orange, Massachusetts got cited because they twice shot a cow, I think it was a pig, shot a pig twice in the head. And it was kind of actually a sad situation because the shop manager, strangely as it is, had some level of empathy and I'm not saying he's a bad person, but he had some level of empathy to say, like, it's messed up, man. Like, we're not, if it doesn't work the first time, we just have to let them suffer. And he's like, we just have to slice their throat open while they're just like completely conscious. So like, knowing that a captive bolt pistol not only doesn't work every single time, but is also only a method of stun, would you say that that's a nice way to die and a way that you'd be completely okay with dying? Because every single animal, just so you know, every single animal has to have their throat slit open because we have to drain them of their blood. So would you be like, yeah, slice my dog's throat open, I don't care. Slice my family's throat open, I don't care. Slice my throat open, I don't care. Or would you be like, nah, I'd prefer to live? What's your opinion?
I feel like it's a little different because I'm human. I have a higher level of consciousness.
Interesting. Let's go into this. So I agree with you that there are many, many differences between animals and humans, even though humans are animals. What I would definitely agree on is the fact that there are a lot of differences, right? But can you name to me the difference in animals that if humans also lacked that trait would justify stabbing humans to death?
Self-awareness and intelligence and the ability to know what's going on and not just live to mate and die.
Okay, so hold on. I would love to jump into each of these, but at the same time, all of those things are present in animals. So I don't know what you're saying. Animals have self-awareness. Like, they don't have the ability to like discuss veganism like you and I are doing right now. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. They do have a lower level of intelligence, but like they still have intelligence and they have the ability to suffer. And I forget what the last thing was, but even the intelligence one, let's just go into that. Like, or self-awareness. Like, if a human was not self-aware, meaning they were unconscious, like they were handicapped in a bed and they were just hooked up to a machine, would you think it'd be okay to just walk up to that human and slice the throat open just because they didn't feel anything or they weren't self-aware?
They do.
But they're not self-aware. They're unconscious.
No, people do kill them. But I think after a certain amount of time, the doctors recommend they just pull the plug. This is just costing money and they're just sitting there. They're a vegetable. There's no reason to keep them alive.
Okay, interesting. But again, we've already talked about that. That's like helping somebody out of their suffering. Like, they're never going to come back. You're also helping the family out of their suffering because you're helping them get some closure on the situation because they've been sitting there. I don't know what the standard time is of keeping somebody going, but say it's 2 years. Let's say it's even 6 months. This family is sitting there waiting 6 months, day by day by the bedside. And the doctor recommends, like, look, man, like, this is just going to toll on your conscience and it might not even be worth it in the end. They might end up dying, you know, and which is a completely valid argument. But that still doesn't justify stabbing animals that are like babies. Like, they're especially in the animal agriculture industry, all of the animals are children. Like, they're young animals, and they are not suffering. Like, they're not suffering from some disease. And the ones that are suffering from disease don't get slaughtered because humans can't eat diseased animals, even though we do. But with that being said, we've established, right? I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. You agree that it's unnecessary to pay people to stab animals to death?
It's unnecessary. The reason it's, I guess, necessary is because there's a demand for it.
Okay, thank you. That's exactly what it is. The only reason it's necessary is because people like me and you pay for it. And then in that regard, it's still not necessary because it's just something that we want. And you can't justify an immoral act like taking someone's life, a sentient being's life, just simply because you want to. If we use that same argument, it would justify, I could just walk outside and just grab somebody, throw them to the ground, and just beat the crap out of them. Because they're a sentient being that has the ability to suffer and feel pain. And it just comes down to the idea of like, well, fuck it, who cares? You know, like it just doesn't make sense to me. There's no, like, you could apply that to so many different things.
I don't think that people eating meat makes them morally inferior to someone that doesn't eat meat.
Okay, interesting. So I want to delve into this because this is one thing that I was really hoping to get to by the time.
You could still be a good person and eat meat.
Okay, yes, I will 100% give you that. There are many, many people that have changed the world for the better that ate meat. But one thing that I will say is, let's talk about this current situation that we're living, right? So we grew up in a society that told us eating animals is normal, natural, and necessary. They told us that it's okay to love dogs, but then pay people to stab pigs to death. Like, that's not necessarily our fault for growing up in a society and having parents give us animal products from the time that we were born. We never consciously chose to eat animals. It just happened. It just happened. If you grew up vegan, you would have been vegan now. Like, I mean, maybe you would have wanted to explore what animals taste like, but you know, if you grew up vegan, you would have just been like, oh, I eat vegetables, you know, like it's just the way that we are grown up. And I think that that is a completely great argument that you're making. But the thing is that I would counter argue is when I have discussions like this with people, or when people see the footage of what happens in the industry and they see the things and they say that they don't agree with it. They say they think it's wrong to forcibly impregnate cows, or they say that it's wrong to throw male baby chicks into a grinder within minutes of being born. Like when they say that it's wrong, but then they go against their morals, I think that is something that is an immoral act. Like, you know that it's happening and you say that, no, that's I'm cool with that. It's fine. You know, like that to me is an immoral act. And now I would like to get into this thing. Let's talk about dog fighting here. Would you say that somebody, would you say that somebody that pays somebody, would you say that somebody that pays another human to raise a dog to put them in a dog fight is more or less moral than somebody that says, no, I reject dog fighting and don't want to pay for that?
What you were talking about with the throwing chickens in the grinder and constantly that's factory farming.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's simply not. So in the dairy industry, that happens all the time. It's artificial insemination. The majority of farms use artificial insemination, and also like over 90% of the animal products that we get at supermarkets and restaurants all come from factory farming anyway. So with that being said, in the egg industry, it happens in hatcheries, because you have to understand that only the females lay the eggs. So the 50% of the time, for every time you look at an egg farm, you have to double the amount of chickens and understand that other half, they were the boys that got blended up alive, because in hatcheries, that's just standard procedure. They're waste products. They don't make anything for the industry. So they just put them into a trash bag and suffocate them, or they put them on a conveyor belt and drop them into a blender. Is that something that you're cool with? Like, do you think that's cool to do that to like male baby chicks, like, or male dairy cows? Like, male dairy cows don't make milk either. So
where I get my eggs from, it's all local. I get my meat and all my dairy shit locally, and you can go to some of these farms. The chickens are just kind of like walking around a big, huge yard. They're not stuck up in some tiny cage.
Okay. But what about their brothers?
I mean, the roosters are walking around too. They don't just kill the roosters because they like having them.
They have the exact same amount of roosters as they have females?
I don't think they have. I'm not sure about the numbers, but they don't just grind up the roosters.
Well, do they get their chickens from a hatchery?
I'm not sure where they originally got their chickens from.
Yeah. So originally they got their chickens from a hatchery, and I've looked it up, and all of the hatcheries in New England, they all grind up male baby chicks. A few of them use trash bags, and then one of them, it was actually pretty wild. One of them, I can't remember, was in New York somewhere or something like that, but they actually just attach a muffler to like a pipe, and it's just a small engine, and then it just goes to this like lockbox, and they just put the baby chicks in there and just kill them with the exhaust. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know exactly where you shop, but if they get their hens, because the hens are the ones that lay the eggs, if they get their hens from anywhere in New England, then you're supporting the male baby chicks being ground alive, gassed alive, or suffocated.
I'm not necessarily supporting it. I guess I'm supporting it. I'm not like, yeah, grind up those baby chicks.
But you are doing that with this, though, right? You're saying, yeah, go ahead, give me eggs, do whatever it takes to make.
What kind of phone do you have?
What kind of phone?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So I have a Samsung. So we're gonna go into the phone thing. All right, cool.
Do you eat chocolate? Do
I eat chocolate?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I eat chocolate. Chocolate's vegan, dark chocolate.
Yeah, sure, chocolate's vegan, but a lot of it is harvested by slaves in Africa because that's
okay. So let's get into this. All right, so this is you're making an argument, and I will gladly rebuttal you. Even though you haven't really rebutted any of the points that I'm making, you just kind of shifted over to another thing. I mean no disrespect. But I just want to clarify that I'm addressing the things that you're saying, and you're not really addressing the things that I'm saying. You're just moving it over to a different thing. You're like moving the goalpost, basically.
Well, it's hard to like be like, because you're like, oh, you support being a piece of shit. I'm like, not really.
Don't do that, man. I didn't say that you were a piece of shit. I didn't say that anybody was a piece of shit. I believe that people are
It sounds like
partaking.
it because you're like, so you support grinding up chickens.
Well,
I'm
no,
like,
I'm
no, I
asking
don't
you.
really support it, but I mean, I like eggs and stuff. I mean, what am I just? They're not gonna stop making eggs, even if I become vegan, unless we like make everybody vegan, which is never gonna happen.
Well,
So
I will say
I
this.
could not give them my money, but they don't really give a shit about my $5. They
Okay,
care about
so
everyone's collective $5.
yeah, man, I definitely hear what you're saying. But the thing is that you're making right now is the appeal. There's a lot of different fallacies, and what you're making is an appeal to futility fallacy. And what that's saying is, well, everybody's going to do it. It's going to keep happening no matter what, so I should keep doing it. Let's take that same argument and apply it to killing other humans. Like, oh, humans are always going to kill other humans. It's just what we've done for so long. Like, I am totally justified to go out and beat the crap out of whoever I want to, because other humans are going to do it anyways. So might as well I do it, right?
Well, that's not the norm. Normal people don't go out and kill people.
Yeah, you're right. Do you think that just because
normal
something's
people eat
normal,
eggs.
do you think that just because something's normal makes it okay and moral?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I don't agree. I find promiscuity to be kind of gross, but lots of people do that.
Well, no,
But I'm not going to tell them, oh, I'll tell them I don't recommend that. I'm not going to tell them they're like immoral pieces, like they're immoral and they shouldn't be doing that because it's, they
well,
can do it.
would you say that somebody that pays a human to put a dog into a dog fight is less or more moral than somebody that says, I don't want to pay for that?
I wouldn't pay for it.
Okay, so would you say that it is a more moral option to not pay for a dog suffering?
Well, I wouldn't want dog fights, but those are a little different.
Hold on. Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you think it's more
like
moral
dragged
to
out
not
suffering?
Do you think do you think that it's more moral to choose a lifestyle where you don't pay people to put dogs into dog fights, or it is more moral to pay somebody to put dogs into dog fights?
Probably more moral to not pay someone to have a dog fight, but that's
Okay,
different.
so
That's like elongated suffering. That's dragged out for a long period of time.
Okay, but farm animals suffer for a shortened period of time, but to them it's their entire life. So it's just all perspective.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not going out. They're not going to go out and go to college and live a rich, fulfilling life and buy
Either
a
is
home.
a dog.
Neither is a dog, but like I said, we have a different relationship with dogs.
But we have also said is the dogs don't have any different ability to suffer or feel pain, and they are not any more or less sentient than a pig. But you still say that stabbing pigs is okay, and you support a lifestyle where stabbing pigs is okay and moral in your opinion.
I don't really eat pork.
Okay, so. Why is that? Is that health related? I'm actually curious.
It's not health related. I just don't like the taste.
Oh, okay. So it comes down to taste again. So if I were to tell you that if I want to consume humans or a dog or a cat or a dolphin just because they tasted good, do you think that would be a moral argument?
That it would be subjective morality. Everybody's morality everybody kind of comes up with their own morality. There's everybody thinks of morality in a different way, I guess. There's no objective morality that everybody goes by. There's a couple of rules, don't kill people,
Well, that's a great point, because the thing is, I think that we have to establish here is that yes, morality is subjective, but there are certain
Hitler thought he was doing a great thing. He thought he was very morally superior than other people. That was his morality, but that doesn't make, you know what I mean?
Yes. You are totally right. Just because somebody thinks that they are more moral doesn't mean that they are more moral, and I will gladly accept that. That is not my argument as to why my lifestyle is more moral than your lifestyle. Well, my argument.
You know what you're saying? Yeah, my life, eating meat encourages, I agree. It's unnecessary killing and suffering of animals, but I'm not going to say that it's not immoral to support that.
So you agree that it's immoral to kill animals unnecessarily?
I agree.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm so glad that we came to that conclusion. So if it's immoral to kill animals if you don't have to, if it's a dog, a pig, a cow, chicken, dolphin, shark, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It's still immoral to kill them if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's
just
awesome.
like it would be immoral to kill you if I didn't have to.
Huh?
But, you know, it would be immoral to kill you if I didn't have to, or you to kill me if you didn't have to.
Dude, you're totally right, and that's exactly what my argument is. You're making my argument for me. Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's exactly the exact reason. Like, animals have the ability to suffer, maybe not exactly the same way that I do, but very similarly. So why would I pay for their suffering if I didn't have to? Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with you. We grew up in a society that told us it was normal, natural, and necessary to harm and abuse animals for our sustenance because we needed to survive. But now that we know as humans that we don't have to do it, we have to question our own morals and say, are we living an immoral lifestyle by killing a sentient being unnecessarily? And that's the only point I'm trying to make. Now, now I'm curious, since you say that it's immoral, what would be your justification? Because do you want to use taste pleasure as a justification for stabbing innocent animals to death if you don't have to?
I guess my justification is fuck it. You know?
Okay. Again, appeal to feudalism.
Look at all the stuff going on in the world. I feel like it's a very small thing. We've been doing this for hundreds of years.
Yes, but I can take that same argument and apply it to any social justice.
I think in the war we're in right now that we've been in for 18 years now, like over almost 2 million people, like civilians have died, and it's, you know, I feel like there's just bigger issues that.
I definitely hear what you're saying, but what are you doing in your everyday life to personally fund the Iraq or the war in the Middle East?
Paying taxes, and I'm forced to pay.
That you're forced to pay, exactly. So you have to pay them for survival. So I will give you that. You have a moral.
I don't have to pay them for survival. I could survive just fine if I didn't pay taxes. I would just be thrown in jail because you're held.
Yeah, you would survive, but you wouldn't survive socially. I mean, like the argument that you have to pay you don't have to pay taxes is kind of ridiculous to me because I'm not going to go to jail for not paying taxes when the majority of people are going to do it. And what's the argument? Like, oh, everybody just stops paying taxes. Like, what is that going to do for anything? I don't personally think it's going to do anything. So that's kind of besides the point. But the argument that you're making, you said fuck it, and I just want to clarify that argument is wild, my friend, because what you're saying is you can use that to do anything, dude. I could be babysitting a toddler and I just smack them in the face and I just go, fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm bringing up an extreme and I like to play these ridiculous hypotheticals because it points out kind of how ridiculous that argument is, my guy. Like, you're okay with stabbing innocent animals to death because fuck it. And also you bring up the point that there's the wars and all this crap happening, but 3 times a day, that's just because there's bad crap happening in the world doesn't mean that you need to pay people to stab animals to death. There's so much bad stuff happening in the world. Why don't we do a small thing like 3 times a day, not paying somebody to torture and exploit animals? That would just bring more happiness, more love, more good things into the world, right? Would you agree?
I mean, I feel like they're still going to kill the same amount of animals.
Okay, interesting. So I don't know the exact number, and I'm not going to act like I do, but there's a statistic out there. You can check it out. It's between 2007 and 2014 in the United States. It was like specifically the number of dairy cows that have been forcefully impregnated just to be exploited, and then after their short life, have their throat slit open. So what happens is with supply and demand, less people buying dairy products, less people buying eggs, meat, leather, all of these things, they're going to stop forcing so many animals into existence because that's the only reason we have 56 billion land animals right now, specifically just in the animal agriculture industry. The only reason we have so much is because of supply and demand. If people like me and you,
a lot of people though. Like, that's going to take a lot of people though. Let's say I eat like a pound of meat every couple of days.
Yeah. Do you think that just because the majority of people partake in an act that you have stated is immoral makes it okay?
Not necessarily okay, but I mean, you know, like I said, fuck it. What am I gonna do? Just me not buying meat is not gonna. There's gonna have to be like 100 people have to stop buying meat just to have them not kill one cow.
Yeah, but as we've stated though, and I mean, I don't know the exact numbers about like being vegan and like exactly how many animals, you know, aren't killed for you. I'm not going to have
200 pounds of meat. You get 200 pounds of meat from one cow.
Well, no, but let me just go into this real quick though. But the thing is we shouldn't be basing our moral choices of right and wrong based off of, oh, the general populace does this. Because if that's the situation, then people like me and you, we would have owned slaves, my guy. We wouldn't be on the side of abolition. We would have just been like, yeah, of course we have them. Now, I'm not saying that black people and animals are exactly the same. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that. But what I am saying is the mentality that you're saying is, oh, well, fuck it. If I don't eat animals, then everybody else is still going to do it. Well, if I don't have slaves, everybody else is going to do it. You know, like that's a ridiculous argument to say that, oh, it's normal, so that makes it okay.
I don't even eat meat every day. Sometimes I don't want meat. Like I don't like the taste of some meats, and I don't like breakfast sausage.
Yeah. So you're saying the idea of moderation is good.
Some moderate. I mean, I feel like it's okay to eat meat sometimes.
So, cool.
You know,
Let's delve into this. All right. So imagine I have a dog, right, with me, and I'm walking around, and you see me in the center of Amherst or whatever like that, and you're like, "Yo, what's going on, Ethan? Long time no see." And I was like, "What's up, man?" And you're like, "Yo, cool dog." And I was like, "Thanks, bro." And then you said, "You're like, oh man, your dog seems a little bit timid, bro. Like, what's going on? What'd you do?" And I was like, well, 5 days a week, I just punch my dog in the face. And you're like, whoa, man, that's pretty messed up, as a reasonable person would do. And you said you shouldn't do that. And I was like, yeah, totally. I probably shouldn't do that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to only do it on Sundays. Only on Sundays. I'm going to just punch my dog in the face once. Does that make it more moral in your opinion? Does that make it okay to punch the dog in the face instead of 5 days a week to 1 day a week?
I feel like that's different.
Why? The animal gets to live. I'm still paying for their food. They get to live their whole life. I'm not stabbing them to death. They live their whole life. They just get punched in the face once a week. It sounds crazy, right? But that's the argument that you're making, my dude.
I don't know. I don't think so.
So do you think that killing 5 animals a week, and then saying, I'm going to go down to just killing 1 animal a week, that makes killing that 1 animal a moral act?
I don't think it's a moral act.
Okay, sweet. So no matter how many animals you stab to death or pay somebody to stab to death, even if it's 1, it's an immoral act in your opinion. Is that correct?
I don't think it's an immoral act. I don't think it's a moral act. I think it's kind of like we have these sharp teeth.
Dude, I love it. You're hilarious, bro. So let me just ask you: are you talking about your canines right now? Is that what
we evolved to kind of eat meat?
You're talking about these guys right here, these canines. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what animal on the planet right now has the largest canines.
I'm gonna assume you're gonna say canines.
No, which animal has the largest canines on the planet?
I'm not sure. I don't know every animal on the planet. I haven't done any research on that.
So it's a hippopotamus, and they're entirely herbivorous. So saying that having large canines means you're a meat eater doesn't really justify it, because the largest animal on the planet, or the animal with the largest canines on the planet, is entirely herbivorous and only eats plants.
Okay.
So how is your argument valid at all? I mean, if you also look at our teeth structure, like how many molars we have and how many flat teeth we have, even our front teeth, our incisors, there's so much more. You can ask a dentist. They're so much closer to an herbivorous animal than a meat eater. I mean, like if we had canines, dude, they'd be like this. Like, can you imagine walking around like that? That'd be wild. Yeah, of course we're meat eaters when we got canines like this. But like, our teeth structure is totally not like that. Also, the angle of our jaw is not the same biologically as a meat eater or an omnivore. It's an entirely herbivorous jaw structure. Same thing with the length of our intestines.
Is it immoral for a tiger to attack a gazelle?
Interesting. So let's do it. So the idea, what you're making. So I don't know. Let me answer your question. No, it's not immoral for a lion to eat a gazelle. A, because it's happening in nature, and I'm not going to walk up to a lion at all. But even if he was behind a fence, I wouldn't be like, "Hey, lion, don't kill that gazelle," because A, he has to survive, and B, the argument that
he couldn't survive off a vegan diet, could he?
No, he couldn't. You're right, because he's an obligate carnivore, but we're not. We don't have to eat animals to survive, so that doesn't prove anything. But with that being said, let's go down there. If I say to the lion, I'm like, "Yo, like, don't eat that animal," he's gonna be like, if he could talk to me, he'd be like, "Dude, I gotta feed my family. Like, what do you want me to do?" And I would be like, that's a pretty good reason, bro. Like, sorry, go have a nice day. You know, like, but also you're making the argument that we should be basing our morals off of what animals do in the wild. Lions also kill their own species. Lions also rape other lions, and lions also eat their children. Do you think that we should partake in that?
Some people do.
Huh?
Some people do, and they think it's fine.
Yeah, but some people also stab humans to death. Do you think that it makes stabbing humans to death moral because some people do it?
The government pays people to do it.
Dude, you're funny, dude. I like this. This is good. Okay, let's just clarify. You've stated earlier that eating animals is immoral because we don't have to in today's society, and you agreed that someone raising a dog someone paying somebody to kill a dog or raise a dog for dog fighting is less moral than somebody that decides to say, yes, I know it's going to happen, but I'm not going to partake in it. You said that person, basically the vegan, is more moral. So what is your argument against like somebody that funds the killing of pigs, cows, and chickens and fish is, in your opinion, more or less moral? And just simply this argument, I'm not talking about how much money they donate to charity or what they do for human society. I'm just talking about the idea of who's more moral, a meat eater or a vegan, in regards to respecting that animal's life and going, I don't have to eat them, so why would I? So, sorry, I went on a tangent. My question for you is, in your opinion, who is more moral in the argument of who we consume? Someone who pays for the funding of the death of sentient beings, or somebody that says, I'm going to eat something else?
I'm not sure either one is necessarily more moral. Like I said, this morality is subjective. Some people, feel like let's say, talk about Christians. Christians think that God put animals on this planet.
Hold on. Can I interject? Because you're again, we're going to like something else. We're going to religion, which is what I'm trying to say to you is you agreed earlier so fast. You're like, no, it's immoral, and it's more moral to say I'm not going to pay for a dog in a dog fight. Why is it that when I mentioned eating animals versus raising them in a dog fight, the eating animals is like, I don't really know, but the dog is like, yeah, definitely, fuck that. That's messed up. Don't partake in that.
Well, like I said before, we have a different relationship with dogs, and with dog fighting, it's more elongated over a longer period of time. They're actually feeling pain more. It's not just they live their life and then for a little bit they suffer because we kill them.
Do you think that no matter how much suffering is involved, even if it's an hour of suffering versus a year of suffering, it's still suffering and it's still bad and we shouldn't pay for it?
I think that with like crimes, we measure things in a matter of degrees. And I think that more suffering is obviously not as bad. More suffering is worse than less suffering.
Right. So I definitely hear you.
If you kill someone and you torture them for a long period of time before you kill them, we see that, and you rape them and shit for years, like we see that as less moral than just shooting someone in the head and killing them instantly.
I would argue that
someone and torturing them for a long period of time is treated as a worse crime than shooting someone in the head at a bar fight because you're pissed off at them and they die instantly.
Interesting. So I still don't see how that makes killing or objectifying a human and chopping them up into pieces, how that makes, if you make them suffer for a long time or if you just kill them quick, how that's still not both immoral. Like, yeah, one might be more moral. Like, yeah, I would prefer to, like, if I was going to suffer from cancer for 25 years, like immensely, or somebody who's like, here, like, let me just shoot you in the back of the head, I probably would choose the back of the head because it's less suffering. Yeah, I would choose that. But the thing is, what you're saying is we're putting animals into immense suffering or just a little bit of suffering, and this one's worse, yeah, but this one's still pretty bad. Is that what you're saying? This, like, still killing is still messed up if you don't have to, right? If it's a lot of suffering or a little, the act of killing itself, if you don't have to do it, is still immoral, right?
Sure, but less suffering is obviously more moral than more suffering, so it's more moral to...
You're totally right.
It's more moral to eat beef than it is to raise a dog for dog fighting.
I will gladly do that. I will gladly accept that. So let's go into this, right? Let's talk percentage, right? Say I have someone that suffers at, we'll say that they're kind of the control. Their 100% is like the worst suffering that you could go through, right? And I would not want that. I would choose even 50% of that, right? So let's say that's the argument. You have 100% suffering, you have 50% suffering. What if we put a third option in there? 0% suffering. Would that be more moral than 50% suffering and 100% suffering? To just have no suffering at all, to the ability to live your life how you want to, and the ability to make your own choices. Which one is better? Which one is moral?
Well, animals don't really do, all animals, like you could release all the cows and all the chickens and the pigs and stuff, right? They don't really want to do anything but reproduce, then die. They're not going to go out and do stuff.
Whoa. I know you know that's not real. I know you can tell that that's not real. You see dogs as individuals, right? And they have the ability to experience emotion and well-being, that you can tell when they're happy, you can tell when they're sad, you can tell when they know that they're in trouble, right?
Yeah, but they're not going out and doing stuff with their lives, you know? It's
well,
like,
because we put them in a house and we make the choices for them. Now, I'm not
even
saying
in the wild, all they're going to do is go out and reproduce. Yeah, sure, they might get startled by something in the woods, but the reason they get startled is because they don't want to die. Like the reason that you don't, like, normal people don't rape people is because normal people don't want to get raped.
Yeah,
that's
they use empathy,
morality
right?
comes in.
They use empathy, right? They understand, they put themselves in the victim's perspective, and they look at the oppression from the victim's point of view versus the oppressor's point of view. Do you think that's a better thing that we should do as a society, is look at issues of injustice? So gay rights, civil rights, women's rights, all of these things. Should we look at that from the perspective of the victims or from the perspective of the abuser or the oppressor?
You probably want to look at it from the perspective of the victims.
Okay, so let's look at it from the perspective of the victims in this situation. So the victims are the animals. From their perspective, do you think that they would prefer to not be in that environment and to have the ability to go make their own choices, whatever that may be? Do you think that the victim in the situation would prefer, if we didn't have to stab them to death, they would prefer that we just let them be?
I don't think they really know the difference.
Oh,
they don't have that kind of cognitive ability. I don't think they know that there's a life outside the farm.
Have you ever had a dog inside for a really long time and you bring them outside?
Yeah, but if the dog had never been outside, it's always spent its entire life inside in one, like a closet, and never knew that anything outside of that closet existed.
Yeah,
they might be more comfortable in the closet.
What if I did that with you? What if I took you and I put you in a basement? You had no idea. You were born in that basement. You lived in that basement your whole life. Do you think that maybe you would want to get out of that basement?
Well, if someone's going to come down and feed me and shit, I mean, I have being a human, I have the cognitive ability to know that that person's going somewhere and that's not the basement. So something outside of that basement exists. But animals really don't have that kind of ability to think like that.
I would definitely argue that, because you can see many videos of animals on slaughterhouse trucks on their way to slaughter, and they are trying to get themselves out. There are many animals in animal sanctuaries across the country that have realized the situation and ran from it to be rescued. There's animals at Chloe's Ark in Hadley that broke out of a cage and ran towards a group of vegan activists, and they were rescued and brought to a sanctuary. So a chicken, like, people think chickens are so dumb. They have the ability to understand, holy crap, my brothers and sisters are having their throats slit open in there. I need to get the hell out of here. How in the hell is that not an understanding of your environment?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. So thank you. One thing I want to give you a lot of credit here, Aaron, is you're being super chill, dude, and I really appreciate it. And you're also, like, the thing is, it's really tough when I have these conversations with people is they don't get to admit when their argument is flawed. And you've done a really respectful and compassionate way of just being like, nah, man, I don't know. Because you're right. There's no reason to stab these animals to death if we don't have to. And the only reasons that we can come up for are basically gluttony, the idea of what we love. We want to just eat it because we like it. And if I use that same justification for anything, it would be atrocious. The idea of convenience, too, is the other one that you're bringing up, is the idea that it's more convenient for me to buy animal products.
I have to interrupt though, but I have to get off now.
Okay, cool, sweet. Well, that works out great because that was like almost an hour. I just want to clarify here. Let's just end on this, or end on two things real quick. Do you have 2 minutes? Can we spare 2 minutes?
I don't have 2 minutes. My phone's at 1% now because I've been out here the whole time.
Okay, so I'll be real quick. You agree that eating animals is immoral in today's society?
I think that under certain circumstances it can be immoral, yes.
No. If we don't have to in today's society, because we have grocery stores and all of that shit everywhere, that they have abundance of plant foods for the majority of people in this country. You still there? I think we lost him, everybody. With that being said, even if he cannot, Aaron, I hope you're there and I hope you hear this. No matter what, my friend, if you want to say it's in certain situations, then it's fine. We've already established the idea of survival and the idea of helping somebody out of their suffering. But you have found no justification, my friend, for stabbing an innocent being to death when you don't have to. And every single point that you made, I countered, and you had no argument for, my dude. So I gladly would go round 3, but I think you have agreed earlier in the video. You completely agreed. If you want, we can go back and replay it. I can't do it right now, but in another video, and I'll show it to you, man. You said eating that or paying somebody to kill an animal unnecessarily is immoral. So you're living in a moral lifestyle when it comes to your dietary choices, and you're completely okay with it because of taste pleasure. What kind of justification is that? If we use pleasure to justify things, it would justify so many atrocious things. I could say I like killing humans. I could say I like beating up dogs. Pleasure is not a justification for an immoral act like abuse or killing. We just need to understand that. And I want to thank you so much, my guy, for being here. I want to thank everybody for being here. But the thing is that's really important that we need to establish right now is we are, as Aaron said, stabbing innocent animals to death because either A, we don't know about it, we don't know what's happening, we're unaware of the facts, or B, because fuck it. What kind of an argument is that? That is the worst argument I've ever heard. And I mean no disrespect to Aaron, but because I've heard it from so many people. What kind of argument is that? But with that being said, thank you so much for being here. Everybody stay here if you're there. I'm just going to jump over to YouTube real quick, and then I'm going to see what the chats are like, and maybe I can address some of y'all's chats. Awesome. Everybody's in the chat. Oh, I love this so much. You guys are so great. Such a great supporter. Supporters. All right. So Vegan Tina, so great to see you. Can't wait. I'm so glad. I hope you were satisfied with the video. The power of you. Ethan, what's up? Or Jeremy, what's up, dude? So good to see you, man. It was so nice to hang out with you the other day. You're an awesome guy, and I'm so proud to know you as a friend. No echo on my end, still no echo. Good. Crispin, happy you're there. Give a little smile, give a little smirk. I love it. You know it. I hope everything sounded good. I hope I hooked it up right, and I hope you enjoyed the debate, man. This one is definitely dedicated to you, my dude, and dedicated to the animals that don't have a voice in this situation. Mia, what's up? If you're still there, it's so great to see you. Tuning in now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Learning so much right now. I'm glad you're learning, Jeremy. We have to learn from each other. This is what the community is. We just have to learn to the best of our ability. Let me just check and make sure that the angle's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay. Vegan Tina. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. Spot on. I agree. Who is this guy? So this is Aaron. We graduated from different years, but we're just Facebook friends, and I actually give him a lot of credit because I've posted on Facebook many, many times. Hey guys, I'm just looking for somebody to debate me. Sorry if I hit the microphone. That was loud. My apologies. Somebody please debate me because I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like, how can you live this lifestyle and not want to debate it and not say that it's fine? You're saying it's fine to do it because you're funding it. But so he was one of the only people that was actually like, no, I'll debate you. I'll do it. And I'm like, sweet. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's hard. It's hard to find people that want to argue their lifestyle, which doesn't really make sense to me, but it's the situation. Sorry. Felt like that was really good. I think we did a good thing, y'all. I think we did a good thing. He's got something to think about. We planted some seeds for sure. No right way. Tina, vegan Tina. Oh, the chats are blowing up right now. Neither are mentally challenged humans. Will he kill and eat them? Exactly. The intelligence argument is just ridiculous because if we apply it to anything, like it just doesn't make sense. For the majority of people, we don't even need to apply it to humans. We can just apply it to dogs. Like if a dog is less intelligent than another dog, are you cool with me just stabbing that dog to death? They'd be like, nah, because as Aaron said, we grew up in a society that told us that eating dogs was messed up and hurting dogs was messed up. And again, no justification just because you grew up a certain way. Doesn't mean that the act of killing other species is right. Mia, I'm learning so much from this. Also laughing. Nice, civil, good, natural debate. Props to the both of you. Exactly. Thank you, Mia. I'm glad that we're all able to recognize how awesome Aaron was being. He was being really cool. Making some strange arguments, but I'll give him credit. He argued it, which is nice. Vegan Tina, so tell him to name the trait that would make it okay to exploit. Yes, you are aware of name the trait. I hope you were there when I dropped the name the trait on him, because there's no argument against name the trait. There's no argument. I mean, he accepted that. That's why he tried to move the goalpost again. So thank you, Vegan Tina. I definitely appreciate you checking in and saying that we need to be utilizing the name the trait argument, because it's one of the best arguments that we have, if not the best, for sure. All right, so we're getting done. Jeremy, Mia, both of you are still there. We got 5 people in the chat right now. Okay, so I'm just going to end here. To those of you that are in the chat that are already vegan, know that there's so much power that we have to change the world. We can do a lot of great things, and all it takes is a little bit of inspiration. So I hope that maybe I inspired you in a little way to get more active, to do something, just a little thing, maybe have a debate on your own, or even just if you don't want to record it, just have a debate with somebody. So if I could help in any way, or if you learned something from this, thank you so much. That means the world to me, and I'm happy to help anytime that I can. And last thing is, to those of you that aren't vegan, and if you're still here watching, know that yes, I'm making the argument that I think that eating animals is immoral, but no, does that mean that I think that you're an immoral person? As we've already stated, there's different levels. Good people can do bad things, and bad people can do good things. But what we can understand is the idea that animals have the ability to suffer, and why would we pay for their suffering if we didn't have to? You know, it just doesn't make sense. But to all of you, thank you so much for checking in. It really means a lot. And to those of you that are watching this that's not live, if you stuck through the whole thing, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun, and there will be more in the future, so stay tuned. And much love. Peace, y'all. Your vegan friend Ethan, out. Well, not right now, but right now. Bye.